Danan Hughes. He joins us here on Cody and Gold. I'll just ask you the same question we were just discussing there. Like, how do you view Jordan Love now? Because they've certainly have got him playing at a much better level.
Yeah, Jordan Love has really elevated his game. And I guess I would say the first thing that comes to mind is probably should be a note to every other GM that when you draft somebody in the first round, stick with them. You know, there's a growing process. Not everybody's going to be Patrick Mahomes. Not everybody's going to be Peyton Manning, even though Peyton Manning had a terrible rookie year. I mean, not everybody's going to be great when they first get to an organization. And what he's shown, especially as of late, these last 3 to 4 games, I mean, he's thrown 7 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions over the last 3 games. Over the last 4 games, they've posted over 375 yards on a 4-game stretch, which hasn't happened. It's the longest streak that they've had in a long time. So, yeah, the offense is clicking. They got the wide receivers, early picks, you know, with Dobbs and Reed and Watson. I actually played with Watson's dad. His dad actually played safety for the Chiefs back in the day. So, yeah, to see that kid coming from the Missouri Valley Football Conference flourish, I mean, they're really clicking on all cylinders. They are a scary team.
When you look at where the Chiefs are offensively, our stance has been pretty much this is fool me once, fine, but, like, can you show it to me a second time? Does that feel fair for the Chiefs offense? We can't just take one game of offense in this long of a season and just be like, problem solved.
No, you can't take one game. The sample size has to be more, but at the same time, like, we're 8-3, and Rashee Rice had a drop last week, so now they're up to 27 drops.
That's crazy.
If you take away the loss against not the Broncos,
Lions,
but against the Eagles, and you take the drops against the Lions, I mean, it's not as bad. I'm not saying it's not bad, but it's not as bad considering how many times we throw the ball. Yeah, we could be better. We showed glimpses. I think the increased volume for Rashee Rice helps, and recognizing that he's a guy that's going to catch the ball better when he's on the move versus when he's stopped, like hitch routes, hook routes, spot routes, etc. Those seem to be the times where he drops the ball. So that's where the bye week came in, where the self-scouting came in, where you recognize how you can put guys in better positions to be successful, and they're growing. Like, who wants to be the best in week 13? Nobody wants to be the best. Nobody wants to reach their peak. And the fact that we're still able to win games and still be atop of the AFC, like, I'm cool with it. And as long as they get better and we get better, if that means that there's less passes thrown to certain guys, then that's the nature of the beast.
Do you think that they'll actually make that shift, though? There's a part of me, Danan, that thinks, hey, that's a one-off, and they'll go back to, you know, like how maybe you get one game where Andy Reid runs the ball more than normal, right? Do we think that this is the Rashee Rice plan going forward?
Well, I definitely think it's the Rashee Rice plan going forward, and look no further than last year with Isaiah Pacheco. There was many times in the first 8 to 10 weeks where a lot of people, maybe even calling into your show, I know they did with my show on Players Only, how come we don't see more of Isaiah? How come we don't get more of Pacheco? How come they're rotating the three-headed monster in? And then what happened was, as the season started to unfold and you got to the playoffs, guess what you got? More Pacheco. So I feel like it's kind of par for the course with Andy Reid in circumstances with young talent, unless they're forced into play like Trent McDuffie and Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson were. For the most part, you see, especially on offense, you see spoon-fed portions for guys and getting them acclimated. And I made reference to this last week with regard to Rashee Rice. Maybe the coaches recognized up until this point that 20 to 30 plays was the max for him because they knew exactly what they were going to get in those 20 to 30 plays. Think about it from a running back perspective, you know, back in the day here with Larry Johnson or the bulk carriers, the Adrian Petersons, et cetera. Those are rare breeds of athletes that can handle a large load versus the guys that can come in and give you 20 plays and be really, really good in 20 to 25 plays. Now, because of the nature of the rest of the receiving core, you have to accelerate that for Rashee Rice, but maybe that's part of the growth is that, hey, we're not going to give you the entire buffet to start the season, even though you might be one of the best, if not the best that we have on the roster. But when time comes, crunch time, last quarter of the season, playoffs, we expect you to be out there for 50 plays.
We're talking to Danan Hughes, of course, part of the Chiefs radio network. He'll be on the call with Mitch Holthus, Josh Klingler, Dan Israel Sunday night at Lambeau. Also tonight, players only. I'll ask you more about that here in just a second as well, Danan. But Sky Moore, it's just 3 catches for 34 yards or something like that. But revising expectations of who we know maybe he can be. I mean, if you're averaging 30 yards for a full season, it's like 560 yards. I think before this season, a lot of people had him as a 500 to 600 yard receiver. Should that just be are we good with that? If you told me every week he's averaging around 30 yards a game, I know that's not what everybody wanted him to be before, but I feel like you'd sign me up for that right now the rest of the way going for his career in KC.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I think because the spotlight has been on the entire receiving core, we've gotten away from the expectations or reasonable expectations for second-year guys and first-year guys. I mean, how much did we really I feel because we've been spoiled in a good way here in the Chiefs' kingdom, going to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. We got to see glimpses of what he could be in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl when he scored, that accelerated his growth and the maturation process as a wide receiver. And because we want immediate results, especially from early draft picks, I feel like maybe there was some extra pressure to accelerate his production with us. And maybe that would be the case. Maybe he will be a 500-yard or could be that potential guy. And in the draft this year, we go and get another second rounder, maybe a first rounder if we, depending on how things shake up with trades, et cetera. And now we got 2 second rounders and a first rounder as the core of our receiving group with a solid amount of experience to go into 2024. So I feel like Andy Reid and Brett Veach, they've garnered enough trust that we should know that there haven't been busts with this team. There haven't been those guys that you wonder, why did we draft, especially early picks. But maybe they're just not going to be the superstars that we see around the league, like the Justin Jeffersons and the Amon St. Brown. I mean, those guys are legit superstars, and they were quick learners and quick producers. Maybe that's just not the case for our guys.
Do you think that this was the best game for Patrick Mahomes the entire year? I think I can make an argument that he hasn't played any better than he did in that one.
Oh, this past game against the Raiders?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I don't have the schedule in front of me to think back to any specific game.
I mean, the Bears game, they were near perfect, so I understand that argument. But I just thought, considering they were down 14 in this game and all that, Danan, I don't know that he performed any better in any particular game than this one.
Yeah, I can go with that argument. I think protecting the football, the one throw to Travis Kelce, I don't think very many quarterbacks in the league could make that throw over the shoulder between 3 defenders to the sideline. The way he's continuing to incorporate everybody, spreading the ball around. There were some touch passes in that game that could have gone the other way. And quite honestly, earlier in the season, they may have gone the other way off of people's hands, and he's still willing and able to make those throws. Tells you a lot about his makeup and the integrity that he shows. He got up on the microphone after the Philly game and said, I'm going to keep swinging it. And maybe there might have been people that doubted that, and he showed them against the Raiders that he has the ultimate trust that the other guys are going to do their jobs. And that's really what it comes down to, is recognizing that I have a job, they have a job, and just like any company, you got to trust the people to do their job. Even when they may drop the ball here or there, you still got to lean on them to do their job. And we're not in the days of Elvis Gerback. I can't throw it and catch it at the same time. But we're seeing true professionalism without quarterback. And there is no hesitation, which to me is probably one of the more important or more gratifying aspects of his game, is that we're not seeing him double clutch like he's wondering whether he should throw it to X receiver or to whomever. He's out there and he's preparing and playing as if nobody's had any drops, and I think that's going to bode well for us continuing this season.
You're going to be on the call. Have you been to Lambeau before? I tried to do a quick search of your NFL career history. It looks like you never played at Lambeau. Is that right?
Never played at Lambeau. Only visited there once for a business symposium, but never played there, never been to the booth. So I'm looking forward to it. I counted a couple of weeks ago, I counted about 8 stadiums that I had not broadcast from. So this one will be checking off the list. And I think when I ended my career, there were like 5 stadiums that I had not played in. So this one will be fun. I haven't been to Pittsburgh in either scenario as a player or as a broadcaster. So that's on the list that we won't get to this year. We'll see what happens down the road.
Could you still do a Lambeau leap? Could you get all the way up the wall, Danan?
No. There's no quick movements in my game anymore. I've seen too many guys blow out Achilles and mess up knees because they tried to do something quick. It's the biggest fear in my life, more than snakes, gators, or anything else. I do not want to have an injury to any part of my body, especially my legs, at the age of almost 53 now.
You're worried about running a slant in the street for like Thanksgiving football and tearing an Achilles?
No quick movement. That's my motto as I'm getting into close to my mid-50s. My birthday will be up next week.
Hey, okay.
No quick movements. None at all.
Players only tonight, though, right?
Yeah, we're back. We've been on. It's almost like we were on hiatus because of the holidays and the bye week and me going out of town and Germany. We've been gone for several weeks, but we're back. So players only will be back on the string for the rest of the season, hopefully through the Super Bowl. And we'll get going. I'm doing some charity today, so I'm inviting Sean Barber back in to the booth. So everybody's got to do charity, so that's mine for the day.
All right, we'll be listening tonight on 610 Sports Radio, Players Only, and, of course, Sunday night as well. Thanks, Danan.
All right, thanks, guys.